Wahiao, yes. So the name of this ancestral house is named Wahiao, named after the chief. So if you ever go to a carved meeting house, has anyone ever been to one of these before?
Yes.
It's a meeting house, or what we call our marae. This one here is our ancestral house. This is a very important place where we all get together for various occasions. So this is named after our chief Wahiao. So if ever you come across any of these carved meeting houses in New Zealand, it'll have its own name. This one here is named after our chief. So what I'm going to do now, this building actually represents his body. Yeah, it's a symbolic representation of his body. So follow with me. So if you look at the top, that represents the chief's head. If you look at the panels that go down either side, they represent his outstretched arms with his outstretched fingers. Those panels either side of that, they represent his legs. There's a rafter that goes all the way through the building, that represents his spine. Those panels that go down either side, they represent his rib cage. Yep. Inside the ancestral house, there is a carved pole in the centre that is called Tautoko Manawa. What would that represent?
The heart.
Yes. His living, breathing heart. So it's a living, breathing representation of the chief people. So if that's the body symbolic representation of the chief, what would the colour red represent? His blood. Yeah. So white represents life, black represents death. And you've got blood. Now, has anyone been to Egypt? Show of hands. Who's been to Egypt? Now, how did the Egyptians communicate? Their ancient ways of communication. Drawings. Yeah, what were the drawings called? Hieroglyphics, yes. Now, the Maori people, we never had a written language. Our native people, we never had a written language. We had something similar to the hieroglyphics. What did we have? Carvings. So if you look throughout this building, all these carvings is an ancient form of communication. That's an ancient dialect. That's one I can't decipher, which tells our origins, our genealogies, our roots, our ancestry. You follow that all the way through. It's telling our stories, where we come from. Even right down to the face. Have we all seen the tattoos on the faces of our men and women? This is what we call tamoko or mata ora. So mata means face, ora means living. So living face. Just like the living face, this is a living building. Normally one half of the face would explain the mother's genealogy. The other half of the face would explain the father's genealogy. Yeah? Yes, sir?
How old is this building?
Over 100 years old. Okay, so as I said, these carvings, it's an ancient dialect, it's an ancient language, people. Yeah. So if you were to set foot inside this ancestral house, you have to remove your shoes. Why would you have to remove your shoes? Respect, yeah, as a mark of respect. Your feet are what is known as tapu waiwai, which basically means sacred feet. So if you were to step inside this ancestral house, you'll have to remove your shoes as a mark of respect to the ancestor. Yeah. This area is what is known as the pai pai. This is where normally the warriors would be stationed. Now, who's seen the haka? Kamate, kamate, ko. Yeah? Who hasn't seen the haka? I must look like a fool. So the haka, what is the haka? Can anybody tell me what the haka is? No, it's not a greeting. It's a war dance. It's a war dance. Yeah. A greeting is kia ora, but a haka is actually a war dance. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen our national rugby team here in New Zealand. They're called the All Blacks. Now, there's a ritual they perform every time before they play a game, and it's called the haka. Now, what's the haka? A war dance. Now, why would they perform a haka before they play a game? Intimidation, yes. But what are they doing? They're preparing for battle. Build spirit. Yeah, build spirit. Yeah, all those things. Yeah, build spirit, intimidation, frighten them. But that's what it is. They're getting ready for battle. They're rousing their bodies ready for battle. Now, and this is our ritual. This is the native ritual, and they perform that every time they play. Even in league, if you follow league, our New Zealand rugby league team, they do the same thing. They perform that same ritual. Now, you'll notice when they perform that ritual, particularly the men, they poke out the tongue. Yeah, you notice that? Yeah. So the poking out of the tongue is called pukana. Can we all say pukana? So what is the pukana? So the pukana is an act of defiance. Why do they do that? As we all mentioned, frighten, to intimidate, to scare, to make the opponent feel uneasy, apprehensive, and that's exactly what they do. Now, getting back to this building, getting back to this ancestral house, you'll notice as you look around, there's a lot of poking of tongues. Look all around this building. A lot of poking of tongues around here. Now, what's really interesting is it's only the men that poke out the tongue. Yeah, only the men that poke out the tongue, not the women. Now, there's a reason behind it. You'll only find carvings of women and children where? Inside the ancestral house. Why? Because the men were the protectors. That's why there is a male dominance out here. Because the women were being protected inside. The men were the first line of defense. As I said, this is known as the pai. This is where the warriors would be stationed. Now, what would normally happen if there was another tribe that came into the village? A warrior like this gentleman here would come out and he would lay down a peace offering. It was, and usually it comes in the form of a fern. Has anyone seen the fern, the native fern? Silver fern? And it was up to that village or up to that tribe to place that fern up to say, yes, we come in peace. Quite often that wasn't the case. Some came with the hidden agenda to invade. So it was up to the men as the first line of defense to protect the women and children or to protect the village. And that's why you see a male dominance out here, because men were the first line of defense protecting the women and children. Yeah? Any questions? Yep.
Would other tribes or villages have a similar thing?
Yes.
With
With
the
their
exact
own-
design?
Not the
So,
exact.
Yeah.
With the basic design of this is the spine, this is the heart.
Correct, yes.
But
Because
their
mo-
chief would be different, or
yes,
their...
of
okay,
course. Yeah. Everything would be similar, but not to the true replica.
Unique to each tribe.
Yeah, unique to each tribe, because each tribe has their own story. So if you were to get a tattoo on your face, and I was to get a tattoo on the face, this gentleman here, it would be different because your mother comes from a different place. Your mother comes from a different place. My mother comes from a different, so it'll have a unique design. Same with the building, it'll have a unique design to their tribe as well. Yeah.
Is this what it's called a marae?
Yeah, a marae.
A marae.
Yeah, it's absolutely, yeah, that's what it's called, a marae. Does anybody know what this weapon is called? Yep, that's what it does. It's called a patu. What is a patu? A patu is like a club type weapon. Now it's made out of a special type of stone. The colour might give it away. What's the colour of the stone? Greenstone. Has anyone seen greenstone? Yeah? Yeah, it is jade, yes, greenstone. The Maori people call it pounamu. I've got an example of pounamu here. This is pounamu. Have we all seen pounamu? Yeah, greenstone. It's a very treasured, sacred stone to the Maori people, very spiritual stone. It's what we call taonga. Can we say taonga? So taonga means treasure. So it's a very treasured stone. There's an example of the greenstone in the garden. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's what we carved that off. It was like it had a sharpened edge, that club type weapon, but you had to be a skilled warrior to be able to use it because you had to get close into the enemy to deliver that final hit blow. So you had to be good at close quarters combat. We also have the taiaha, which is kind of like a spear, but to be an exponent of that weapon, you had to be pretty skillful. So that's what that weapon is. Cool.
What did the people of the village use this for?
So it's a place of communal gathering, so you can have weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, but also we have, most importantly, is our tangihana. What is our tangihana? Nobody knows. It's a funeral. So normally the body will be brought into this ancestral house for 3 days. Why 3 days? To allow for family members to come travel abroad to celebrate and to mourn and grieve with the loved members. After the third day, keeping in mind that body is never left alone. There's always going to be somebody with that body throughout that duration. And then the body after 3 days will be taken out for burial. Yeah. Well, we must move on, people. So that was